Evening, everyone. It is 6 o'clock. Tonight, we're here for the agenda for the special meeting of the Vacaville City Council. It is December 1st, 2020, and we have a roll call, please. Hello? Can anybody hear me?
I hear you, Mr. Mayor. This is Mitch.
I hear you.
Can we have a roll call, Michelle?
I think she's having trouble connecting. I'll go ahead and call the roll, Mr. Mayor.
Thank you.
Council, can you hear me?
Yes.
Okay, thank you. Sorry about that. Council Agency Authority members Harris? Here. Mashburn?
Here.
Sullivan?
Here.
Vice Mayor Beatty?
Here.
Mayor Rolett?
I am here. If you can please stand with me for a moment of silence, followed by the Pledge of Allegiance, please. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Okay, because of tonight being a special called meeting, there will not be business from the floor tonight. So we will move straight into item 3A. And before our city manager starts, I'd like to say a few words. First of all, I called this special meeting because I know it was important for the city of Vacaville, and I appreciate everyone being able to make it tonight. You know, there was a lot of controversy about what happened, and I was working diligently with our staff to find a way, not for the appointment because there's problems with that appointment, but because I wanted to make sure the people had a voice and the people were able to vote. And we worked hard with the staff. We were trying to make sure we found a way that District 2 would get District 2 representation and a District 2 vote. And we wanted to be a democracy, transparent as we could be. And we worked through it. We talked to outside counsel, as I spoke at the last meeting, and we could not find a way to make it happen. And we have timelines that we believe that we have to hit, and we moved forward with what we had. Now, that being said, after that meeting, I got together with staff again and asked for us to continue to look for any way that we can make it a District 2 only, District 2 representative. And our staff continued to work on that, and that's what we found. And I was excited that I was able to call this meeting. I want us to move forward as a council together. I hope this will help us move forward and give everyone a voice, everyone a vote that matters. And there was a lot of frustration. There was a lot of frustration on my part because we were trying to do what the public wanted us to do. And I know that we have some issues with the appointment, and I think giving the voters the right to vote and make this vote theirs, I think was important, and that's why I called this meeting. And so we'll move on, and I'll give it to the Mr. City Manager if you're ready.
Yes, thank you, Mr. Mayor, Vice Mayor, members of the City Council. Thank you. This is an ordinance proposal amending Chapter 2.60 of our Vacaville Municipal Code relating to council member district elections and mayor at large elections. Next slide, please. So a little bit of background on how we got here. I know everybody's familiar with this, but just to set this context here, it was back in September 28th of 2018 that the City Council adopted an ordinance adding Chapter 2.60 to the Vacaville Municipal Code, establishing a by-district election system for council members. As part of that ordinance, we increased the number of city council members from 4 to 6 while maintaining an at-large elected mayor. This also included districts, so the transition to all by-district elections is planned to occur over 2 election cycles. The first commencing this year with the November 2020 general election, and that was for districts 1, 3, 5 that serves 4-year terms, and District 6, which for a 2-year term, and then concludes in November 2022 general election, or districts 2, 4, and 6, and the mayor position will be decided by election. Chapter 2.60 currently provides that in the event a vacancy occurs in an at-large seat during the district transition period, the vacancy may be filled by either appointment or via special election in the city at large. Currently, there is no provision for the at-large vacancy to be filled on a by-district basis, and this was the subject of the discussion at the November 10th meeting. Next slide, please. As we all know, the vacancy that we're referring to is as a result of Councilmember Mashburn's election to the Solano County Board of Supervisors earlier this year. Shortly after the general election last month, Councilmember Mashburn submitted his letter of resignation to our city clerk on November 4th of 2020. There was some discussion at the last meeting about, when the shot clock or the time limit begins on the resignation. And so I'm just providing you some details from the Government Code Section 1770. An office becomes vacant on the happening of any of the following events before the expiration of the term. Subsequently, Section 1770C2, in the case of the office of city council member, upon delivery of a letter of resignation by the resigning council member to the city clerk. The letter of resignation may specify a date on which the resignation will become effective. And in that regard, Councilmember Mashburn's letter included an effective date of December 31st of this year. So now we move on to the next Government Code section, 36512B, and our own resolution. If a vacancy occurs in an elective office, that being the city council, the council shall within 60 days from the commencement of the vacancy, and again, as we pointed out in the earlier section, that vacancy commenced on November 4th. Either fill the vacancy by appointment or call a special election to fill the vacancy. The 60-day time limit starts on November 4th and is completed by January 3rd of 2021. There's only 2 regularly scheduled city council meetings that remain following that vacancy. The first one being November 10th at the last meeting, and then next week's December 8th meeting. This is important because the time limits that are required or available, honestly, to do the next proposal that we'll be showing you on the next slide, please. So during the November 10th council meeting, the council received input from the public concerning the process to fill Councilmember Mashburn's vacancy. We received an informal petition signed by 538 residents at large, seeking that a person residing in District 2 fill the vacancy. We also had multiple attendances from the public speaking in favor of a person residing in District 2 fill the vacancy, whether the vacancy was filled by an appointment or a special election. Now, at the time, it appeared that only an at-large special election could be called due to the restrictions that I mentioned earlier from Chapter 2.60. That particular section states that if Section 2.60.010C states that if vacancies in council member offices elected at large occur before expiration of the full term thereof, such vacancies may be filled according to law from the city at large and consistent with the procedures set forth in Government Code Section 36512. At the time, we didn't know if it was possible to amend our municipal code to allow for a special election by district due to the limited timeline available and the number of available council meetings before that shot clock expiration date of January 3rd, 2021. Given the options available at the time, as the mayor pointed out, the city council voted 3-2 to conduct an at-large special election on May 4th next year to fill the vacancy. Next slide, please. So, as was mentioned earlier, we did some more homework based on everything that we heard from the public, and we had more time and we jumped into the code further. And based on the level of interest that we heard for filling the vacancy with a resident from District 2, we further explored all the different possibilities that we could find. The first thing we found is that typically ordinances and amendments require a first and second reading, followed by 30 days before the ordinance can become effective. So using those requirements, the soonest an ordinance amendment to that prior code section that I mentioned, the soonest that we could have an amendment would be January 8th, which would exceed the shot clock deadline of January 3rd. Now, Government Code Section 25123A states that ordinances relating to elections, however, shall be effective immediately upon second reading. So that eliminates the 30-day effective date requirement. As a result, we now believe that we can propose a modification or an amendment to the Municipal Code Section 2.60010C, modifying those requirements for filling at-large vacancies with a person qualified to hold the office who lives in the specified district and consistent with the procedures of the Government Code sections mentioned before. So we're also recommending at the same time to add Section 030, adding Section D, to specify that in the event of a vacancy in either of the two remaining at-large council member seats, District 2 shall be filled first. Now, the reason for this is that because Councilmember Mashburn just so happens to reside in an area of District 2, his vacancy makes a logical reason to go ahead and recommend that District 2 be filled first, because as it stands now, Councilmember Sullivan does reside in District 4. Although elected at large, he still can be viewed as filling the needs of that District 4. The ordinance amendment does also include language, though, that in the event of a second vacancy in an at-large seat, in District 4 will be filled. The second reading of the ordinance must occur at a regularly scheduled council meeting, and so that's what prompted the meeting tonight. As the mayor mentioned, we called the meeting tonight because the second reading of this ordinance amendment would have to occur at the December 8th meeting in order to be effective. Next slide, please. So the next steps that we're outlining, should the council be interested in introducing the ordinance amendment tonight, would be that you would introduce the ordinance tonight. Next week, at your regularly scheduled December 8th meeting, we would introduce the second reading to adopt the ordinance, which means that it's effective immediately then and there. At the same time, we would also ask the council to approve a resolution rescinding your November 10th action to hold a special at-large election, and then introduce another resolution that would call for a special election by District 2 only on the May 4th vote by mail election, and requesting the services of Solano County Register of Voters to help us conduct the election. Once that happens, then the very next day, December 9th, the public information process and guidelines for running for office and dates that interested parties can pull and circulate nomination papers would go out. Then beginning on January 11th through February 5th, there would be the time to pull and circulate nomination papers and candidate statements. Then between March 8th and April 20th of next year, there is a write-in candidate period. And then finally on May 4th next year, the election occurs. And then the winner of that election would be certified and sworn in at the June 8th, 2021 City Council meeting representing District 2. As a result, and as previously mentioned by the council, moving from a at-large special election to a District 2 election is estimated to save us considerably, reducing the cost to about 1/5 of the originally estimated cost of an at-large election. Next slide, please. So that is how we believe that we can get the council and to the destination that we heard loud and clear at the last meeting. And so with that, we are recommending that you introduce tonight the first reading of the subject ordinance, and then proceed on to the next steps at next week's December 8th meeting. So that concludes my presentation, but before I wrap up, I will say that right before tonight's meeting, we did receive 3 pieces of correspondence, which I believe the council has at least a couple of copies of those. These comments primarily are in support of the ultimate resolution being a special election for District 2 versus an at-large election, but there are claims that we need to repeal the city's policy on filling council vacancies. Now, before I give you some feedback on that, I just want to, advise the council that there's really 2 pieces here tonight that we're talking about. And on tonight's agenda is the introduction of the ordinance to amend Chapter 2.60. that would allow the city to modify the council district election at large to by district. The subject of the policies to fill a vacancy are not part of this agenda tonight. But having said that, I will say that staff has evaluated all the correspondence we received tonight. We do not agree with the claims that the council cannot call a special election under the current policies on filling vacancies. However, if, after receiving testimony tonight and having a conversation amongst the council, if the council decides that they want to remove any uncertainties regarding the policy and its effects, then the council can direct staff to bring an item back to the December 8th meeting, repealing the vacancy policy. But that would not preclude the council from taking action tonight and or calling a special election by District 2 at your next meeting. So with all of that, I conclude my presentation and I'll be happy to answer any questions.
Yes, thank you, Mr. City Manager. I do have one quick comment. And I know that you said that you believe and our council believes that, and I mean our attorney believes that we're doing everything correct, and that's great. However, I really want to move into this new council, move into the new year, making sure that we're trying to do everything right. And I do appreciate staff. Staff's been working very hard. This is a new process for us. The districts, the extra council members on the council, it's been incredibly hard. I know I've talked to the county a million times, and they're having a hard time down there with all the cities that moved at the same time, and they've all been having issues. Obviously, this is a huge issue, but I absolutely, and I said it last time, I absolutely want to repeal the way we do our appointments. And but we can only vote on this tonight, item 3A, but we can direct, if we have the city council blessing, that we can put it on the agenda next Tuesday now, and repeal it, and then move on with the new council, and then come up with a whole new policy of procedure. And that's what I'm going to ask, but I just want to clarify it. Is that correct?
That is correct, sir.
Okay. With that, I'm going to open it up to council comments.
I have a comment.
I'm going to start with Council Member Harris, please.
All right, thank you. I am really very excited about this opportunity to right a wrong. And I believe that introducing the ordinance to change Chapter 260 is the absolute correct thing to do. I am in favor. I appreciate the work that staff did. I think all of us heard loud and clear that what was transpiring at the last meeting and meetings prior to that is that, District 2 was not having their voice heard. The people were not having their voice heard. Now they've had their voice heard, and we're acting on it, and we're doing it appropriately. In regard to repealing the way that appointments are made, I think that's a wise decision, and one that will do the city well over time. So I'm in favor of that as well. I don't really think I have any questions. I believe my conversations with the city manager in regard to tonight's meeting has been, very clear. I do appreciate the city attorney diving in deeper, and the city clerk as well. I wish we would have dove into it sooner than later. I think that would have avoided quite a bit of unrest amongst our citizens. But I'm happy to see that we're at this point tonight where we can right a wrong. So thank you.
Thank you very much for your comments. I believe Councilmember Sullivan, did you want to jump in?
Yes, please. Thank you. So I have two questions and a couple of priorities that I wanted to put out there as well. So my first question, and this is probably for the city manager or maybe Melinda, is there a length of residency requirement or like an ownership requirement in District 2? I guess my point is, if we declare this tonight, could someone rent an apartment in District 2 tomorrow or move into like a friend's vacant property or up and sell their house before the election and run in District 2? Is there anything that specifies how long you have to be in District 2, or whether it has to be a permanent residence in District 2 to be considered a District 2 candidate for appointment or election?
I'll have to defer to our city attorney on that one.
Yeah, this is Melinda. I believe they have to be a registered voter in District 2 at the time they pull their papers. I don't know if Michelle, our city clerk, has confirmation of that, but I believe that's the requirement. Just at the time they pull their papers, they have to be a resident of that, registered voter of that district.
And that would be your primary residence, right? Sorry, go ahead.
That would be, yeah, this is Michelle. The way the election code is written is where you're registered to vote. So they would have to be registered to vote at a residence within District 2.
And does it have to be their primary residence?
It has to be where they're registered to vote.
Okay, so if they own several rental properties in town and they decide just to move to one in District 2, they could still run at that address.
I would have to do a little more research, but my understanding is the way that it's written is where you're registered to vote, so they could conceivably do that.
Okay.
I will say in the past we have had people try that, and typically citizens will call that out. So, you know, we've let the community process take its course there. And yes, it has to be when you pull your papers.
Okay. I know there was a little bit of a kerfuffle in Dixon a few years back with that. And I'm not sure if they ended up making adjustments to their policy to mitigate that or not, but it just might be something. If you can maybe bring that, just the details back on that at the next meeting, that'd be great. It might be something the new council would want to hear or talk about.
Okay.
Thank you. My second question, and this question might be for, I'm not sure, probably one of the three of you as well. So let's say we go off on some direction today as the existing council. We have the brand new council coming in midway through next meeting. Let's say the 4 new council members don't agree with our decision, and they're going to serve with this person for 2 years at a minimum. Would they have the ability at that point in time to sort of overturn or re-agendize or change our decision? I guess my point is, if we start off on a path tonight, is it final? Or do the new council, if they disagree with kind of the direction we're heading, would they have the opportunity to stop or slow down or change the process?
So this is Melinda. So the item before you tonight is introduction of the ordinance. And so at the next meeting, so that's all that's happening tonight. At the next meeting, it would be adoption of the ordinance. And I believe the existing council is the council that would consider that. If it was adopted at that time, it would become effective immediately because this is an ordinance impacting an election. So in that case, if I believe, thinking out loud here, in that case, if the new council wanted to change that, then they would have to go through the process to amend an ordinance. So again, 2 meetings, introduction, and repeal.
Okay, gotcha. So they would have the ability, they would just have to go through the process. Okay, thank you. Okay, so those are my 2 questions. So I guess my priorities tonight are the same priorities that I shared last meeting. And then I think the filling must be from District 2, no matter what. It really should be from District 2. There's no question there that I think that's why we went to districts. That's why the California voters are at this. I just think that's priority number 1. I'm still very partial to a special election. I really don't like the appointment process. I don't think 2, 3, or 4 people should have the power to appoint someone that makes decisions for 100,000 people and makes $1 million decisions on a regular basis. So I still really am interested in a special election in D2. I know it sounds like this gives us the option to do either or. I guess my last point, or I have 2 more points, but I guess this dovetails into my question. I really do think the new council should have a say in this. I think, to be honest, they're going to serve with this person No disrespect my peers today, but they're not going to be here with whoever this person is that's either appointed or elected. And I would prefer that we actually agendize the second reading of this after the new council sworn in. I think they deserve a chance to speak up. I know they were I don't want to speak for anybody, but I think there were some frustrations after the last meeting. And I think as a sign of respect from one council to the incoming council, we should give them the chance to weigh in. So I would request that tonight, as part of the motion, we also request that the agenda reflect this falls in the portion of the meeting where the new council is seated, so they can actually have a say and give their input and their opinion. And then my last point is that I completely agree with the mayor. I wasn't here for the original appointment policy implementation, and Councilmember Harris, I believe, also voted no on that policy. I really want to change that, and I was going to request an agendized discussion with the new council on that anyway. So I don't know if we need to have it at the next meeting, but at a meeting shortly hereafter, I think we really need to bring that back up with the new council and discuss and maybe change and kind of revamp that a little bit. So I agree with the mayor on that point. So those are my four. So again, really quickly, it absolutely has to be from D2. I prefer a special election. I know this motion doesn't really give me that option. And I really think the new council should be given the respect to decide and the opportunity to decide who their peer is going to be for 2 years. So I would also request that we include the second reading in the agendized portion where the new council is seated. And those are my comments and questions.
Thank you very much. And Nolan, you know, I agree with what you're saying, but I think when you get going down that path, what we're doing tonight, what we're going to vote on tonight, is to give the council the opportunity to move forward with a District 2 only election for District 2 residents only. So only voters from District 2. And that's the whole reason why we have a special called election. I mean, a special called meeting tonight is to give the public that. We already voted to do the special election at large because we didn't have that opportunity. We found that opportunity. That's why we're here tonight. So I want the people to know that are about to chime in that that's what we're doing. We're not going to be going to an appointment process. We're going to move it so we have the ability next Tuesday to have this council say, yes, let's move to special election, only District 2 residents can run, only District 2 voters can vote for that. And that's why we have that on there. So the way you crafted it, like, I want to make sure that we're doing that. That's why we're here tonight. So I just want to be very specific so the callers understand that that's why we're here tonight. That's why we're spending an extra night to make sure this is happening and that the voters from District 2 and the residents from District 2 can run. So I just wanted to be very clear. And with that, I'm going to open it up to public comment.
Julia Rousen-Thomas, I'll open your mic.
Hi there. I just wanted to say that I do agree with this being a special District 2 election. I am in favor of the council voting for that. I am also in favor of letting the new council make more decisions, but you know, you guys decided what you decided. The only thing that I'm going to quibble about is this 60-day thing. You know, we've gone back and forth on it. You guys can read it whichever way, because quite frankly, it's not very clear. But the fact that you could have a resignation, potentially fill the resignation before the letter becomes effective, because there's also an effective date, as well as the date that it was turned in, is ridiculous. So I do understand the city attorney's point of view. I just think it's wrong. I mean, at this point, it doesn't really matter, but you are rushing things a lot for what I feel to be a fabricated reason. So that's it. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Next caller.
Lynn Upchurch, I'll open your mic.
Hi, Lynn. There you are. Go ahead.
Oh, good. Hurrah. Thank you. I am so pleased that this is happening. It's almost hard to believe that we're actually having a council meeting to deal with the real issue. I'm just grateful to everybody who has supported Nancy and me and all of the 538 people who voiced their opinion through that petition process. It really makes me feel proud that we have a process in our democracy to be heard. I want to just say too, because there's been some question about what the petition really asked for. And in the language of the petition, we demanded that the city council appoint a representative from District 2. That was the primary issue. Now, we used the word appoint because the way we fill vacancies in Vacaville has been by appointment. I agree, the appointment process that's in place is very flawed, and I would look forward to having it redone. But as we were conducting the petition, we never queried people about the vehicle that would be used to fill this vacancy. That wasn't what the petition was about. The petition was about just demanding a representative from District 2 serve as our delegate to the city council. I believe that's it, but I'm just thrilled and appreciative, in admiration of those who worked so hard to make tonight possible, and I thank you.
Thank you. Next caller, please.
Caller ending in 211, I'll open your mic.
Hi, it's Alicia Minion. I want to thank the staff and council and the mayor for making this happen. I'm in agreement with the special election, and that it be just in District 2. I was one of the people that submitted a letter, and you know, our democracy is of the highest priority. I've never believed that's an area where you want to cut costs. I've always heard, oh, we want to do an appointment because we're going to save money. That was one of the reasons why the appointment policy, that the new one that was approved in March, that has several issues, as has been discussed already tonight. That was kind of the basis of that, was to save money. And our democracy is just so important. That's not where you want to cut costs. So I'm in full agreement with a special election. And like you said, you know, because it's being restricted to District 2 territory, it's going to be substantially cheaper anyway. I think that the cost of an election should be considered in your reserve policy. I think you should always apportion some portion of the budget for an unforeseen election in your reserve, and so that it's never an issue. And then, but with regard to the comments I made about the March 10th policy that I would also like repealed, and I think it would be great if you could bring it back on a future agenda. You know, there's language in there that actually states that council desires to fill council vacancies via appointment, and it mentions how a special election would only be considered after the mayor exhausts all of his appointment options. And I think that if that language doesn't matter, I'm just wondering what was the purpose of including that language in the policy then. So I think that's just another discussion that needs to happen soon. And then I also really appreciated Nolan's comment about the resolution for tonight. I think it does make sense that it not go on consent at the next meeting. This is a big deal, and I think it should go under the public hearing, just the regular part of the agenda. And I want to thank you again for everything that you did to kind of turn things around. And this is the right ethical and moral thing to do, and I appreciate your time. Thank you.
Thank you. And just for clarification, it will be on the next agenda if we pass this tonight. It will be on the next agenda. It will not be on consent because it's an ordinance change. So just to help you rest assured, it will be on the agenda. Next caller, please.
Ravante Robinson, I'll open your mic.
Hello, guys. Me again. Good evening. Yeah, you know, I just wanted to hop on here and speak in support of the District 2 only election, you know, because District 2 wants their representation, you know, and they should be able to choose it, and only them choosing it, not people from outside, you know, people who don't even live over there, because we went to districts for a reason. We organized to get districts, and Ron Roulette was one of the people who voted against it. But look where we are now. A District 2 election costs $110K when a citywide election would have been $580K. We just saved y'all $400K right there. And Yeah, District 2, getting their own representation, that's a big thing. I don't live in District 2, but I support them being able to make their own decisions. And this, I really want to shout out to the people in District 2, because this really happened because y'all organized, y'all agitated, y'all stayed with it, and now you're going to get what you want. Have a nice day.
Thank you, Ravante. Next caller, please.
Ian Lee, I'll open your mic.
Hello, can you hear me?
Yes, sir. Go ahead.
Hey, thank you for your time. I once again, I will echo some of what has already previously been mentioned. I do appreciate this new turn to allow democratic policy and practice to maintain in our city. I believe that's the foundation that this government was made on. That 60-day, I'm a little bit confused on the wording of that as well. The 60-day repeal effort, should any appointees not be affirmative by then. I'm a little confused and worried about that, but you can clarify later for me if you have the time. Yes, it's good. We should have our democracy continue regardless of the cost. While in perspective, I guess you could say $110,000 is 1/4 of 1% of our police's budget of our city. Just to put that into perspective, 1/4 of 1% for democracy. So I'm glad that's being put into consideration. I wish the best for District 2. I hope that more folks become more engaged and hopeful for the future. And, on my first attendance of a city council meeting here, I was a bit more serious. I was a bit more, and over the time, I've grown more, I suppose, sarcastic and belligerent, because I saw the joke of democracy that, like the city council, the mayor, and staff had placed on the residents of Vacaville. And so I've, fought fire with fire, and that wasn't necessarily the best idea. We know putting fire out with water is.
All right, sir. Your time is up. Your time is up. Thank you very much. I appreciate it. Next caller.
Danielle Shea, I'll open your mic.
Good evening. Can you hear me?
Yes, ma'am. Go ahead.
I just want to say thank you to all the city employees, to the people that were advocating in District 2, to all the citizens that spoke at the last meeting. I'm very pleased with the decision that council and the city employees and the city attorney made this evening. I am very pleased that people were finally listened to. And I can also say that since I've been attending city council meetings, I've never once felt that that was something that was true. I've never ever thought that people were being listened to in any way, shape, or form. And I'm glad to see that that's changing a little bit. I'm looking forward to what happens in the future. There were some comments made at the last couple of meetings by some people on council that were a little unsettling to me, as far as the constituency in Vacaville being the vocal minority. And I'm just glad that the opinion on that is changing a little bit, because I think it's pretty obvious that this was a majority opinion. And I'm glad that you guys finally listened to it. Thank you.
Thank you so much. Next caller.
Roy Stockton, I'll open your mic.
Hello, can you hear me?
Yes, sir. Go ahead.
Okay, I just figured I wouldn't leave my opinion on this until the December 8th meeting or until January. I think it's wonderful that we can all check in via Zoom wherever we're at in the world. And this is important. And I believe that the right to vote and elect your representatives is sacred. I mean, we have men and women in our armed services that have fought for these freedoms. And short of serving your country in that fashion, I think serving on a jury and voting are the two next most patriotic things that you can do as a citizen of our country. And so I am absolutely elated that this opportunity is here for your consideration. And I think that without a doubt, the citizens and the folks that live in District 2 absolutely deserve this opportunity to elect themselves their own representative on our city council. I don't think we need to wait, or the council needs to wait. I think that there's 500 signatures, numerous phone calls and conversations, and these folks have been waiting since July. So I think that now is a tremendous opportunity to do the right thing, to show the community that we have heard and are listening to what they have to say, and that we want to give them their representative and instill the public trust that they deserve to have in a representative that they can hold accountable. So I'm very excited about this opportunity, and I hope that the council will move forward with giving them the opportunity that they deserve. So thank you for your time.
Thank you, sir, and congratulations on your election. Next caller.
Caller ending in 488, I'll open your mic.
Caller, are you there?
Yes, I am. Thank you. Good evening, Mayor, City Council. This is Teresa Stout. As you know, I've been attending City Council meetings for some years now. And I just have to say bravo to you guys tonight. Everybody behind the scenes, staff who did the work, the community who did the work, who advocated for this special election for District 2. Thank you all for bringing it to this meeting and moving forward with it. Very much appreciated. As you know, I'm leaving the area soon, but I'm loving the way that this is moving forward. So thank you again. Take care.
Thank you very much. Next caller, please.
Sarah Palmisano, I'll open your mic.
Hey guys, I just want to echo what I believe Alicia, Julia, and of course Nolan said, specifically about repealing the extremely problematic appointment process as being a part of being able to continue with an election. It seems like Alicia's question sort of hung in the air and no one answered. And I think it's very important to say if it was important enough to be made into policy, then why aren't we following it? That's all. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Next caller, please.
Gregory Ritchie, I'll open your mic.
Caller, are you there?
Hi, can you hear me?
Sir, go ahead.
Hi, it's Ray Ritchie. Hope all is well. First and foremost, I just want to kind of echo a little bit of what Roy Stockton said. I think it's absolutely amazing the choices you guys made to push forward and allow District 2, the residents District 2, to represent themselves and with a special election. The power to vote is a democracy that is very cherished. Coming from a family where my own great uncle was Sea Airman, my great grandfather fought in war, my father fought in war, and it's just something that voting is a right that all Americans deserve to be able to use, and the ability to elect someone from our district is going to be amazing. I also want to use the chance for the next city council meeting I just want to go on record and say I really appreciate the work that Delaney Harris, who's leaving, Mitch and Raymond Beatty have done. Even though Raymond Beatty was appointed, he does a lot of great in the community, and he's a great person. And the appointment was a process, but that doesn't really dictate who he was as a person. I just want to go on record saying I appreciate the three individuals that are leading and what they've done. And I appreciate the steps you guys have taken to allow District 2 to represent itself tonight. Thank you so much.
Thank you. Next caller, please.
I see no additional hands this time.
I'm going to close public comment. And again, I want to state before I open it up back to the council, and I believe obviously Nolan's on board. I'm sure the rest of the council is going to be on board. You know, it's two separate things tonight. Tonight, we're giving ourselves the opportunity with 3A that we can make it a District 2 only election with a District 2 only representative. What Alicia said, and I think Julia mentioned, and I want to be clear because I don't want to sound like we're trying to go over it. I want our next meeting, the first meeting of December 8th, to repeal the appointment process and then leave it open to the next council, maybe in January or whenever, you know, come up with a new policy that everybody's happy with. And we'll have 7 up there. We'll get 7 people putting their input, and I think that would be great. And I'm urging,
where's my you guys?
After we do the, excuse me, not the public hearing, but after we do 3A, we vote on that. I just would like to make sure that we get council approval, everyone approve that we repeal our appointment process at the next meeting on December 8th, the first meeting in December 8th. So with that, I'm going to open it up to council comments. Does anyone have any comments tonight before I make a motion?
I have a comment.
Yes, sir. Councilmember Sullivan, go ahead.
So I guess my question is for the city manager or possibly Melinda or Michelle. I'm not sure exactly who would field it. So to my comment earlier, I think as an offer of professional respect to our incoming council and just a matter of practicality in both cost and the possibility of time, if the future council disagrees with our decision in December 8th and we don't give them a say, they have the ability to overturn that. So I think it's just a good olive branch and an offer of professional respect to our peers that are coming in onto the council. And I think it's actually a smart move in terms of cost, time, et cetera, to allow the incoming council to decide. What would we need to do tonight procedurally to make that fall on the agenda in that fashion at the next meeting?
Mr. Attorney.
Go ahead.
So I guess my suggestion would be to just direct staff to take a vote of the council to direct staff to organize it in that order.
So it would be a separate item, not part of the motion. Is that what you're suggesting?
Yeah, I think I would handle it separately from I would definitely handle it separately from the introduction of the ordinance.
So I think before we vote on the motion at hand, I would like to propose that if possible. I don't know if I'll get a second, but I'd like to propose that.
And I have no problem. Go ahead. I have no problem with you making a motion, but I do want to have all the other council members be able to jump in.
Sure.
So any other council members want to jump in on a comment? So I guess I'll jump in and you know, I don't understand why you think that this council is not good enough to move forward with this. This is something that the public demanded. This is something that I and the rest of the staff worked very hard to make sure that we brought. We heard from everyone. We heard from another group tonight. Let's do the special election. We heard from a council member elect saying, let's just get it done. You know, the council that we have all the way up until Diana and Mitch and Beatty is gone is still a valid elected city council that can make decisions. It's not going to change anything. I would not want to move forward. I would want this council to finish it. We're the ones putting it in place. We do it on the meeting where everybody's going out. We set the special election in process and we move forward. So I don't know what the angle is that you want to have the incoming people do it. But this is something that we're voting on. This is something that is still important. And our council members are always important all the way up to the last day they serve. It's not an olive branch, I think. We're trying to do a lot of stuff with the new council. However, I don't think this is something that the new council has. I think this council should show their leadership and say, let's move forward. Let's give District 2 what they begged for, what these people, these callers have begged for tonight, and let's just get it done. So I will not second your motion, and I would want to amend the motion to make it the first meeting, the next meeting, first meeting with this council and be done with it. But if you still want to stick with your motion, then I'll wait for a second.
Could I say something?
Yes, go ahead.
So, I can understand both sides of it here. I, personally sort of feel like I have been advocating for this to happen the entire time. And I, just out of professional pride, I would like to vote on this and, have that sort of my outgoing vote, if you will, because I've been very passionate about this. I've been passionate about the repeal. I've been passionate about, people having their voice heard and ensuring that District 2 has their own representative. So while I do understand both sides of it, I would like to continue on with this council making the decision. I really do believe that the council coming in would be able to see this, right now, if they're listening tonight, that, they've heard the people from the community. They, understand how much stress this has been on the community because decisions were made that really the majority was not, hearing our people. So I feel strongly, that I'd like to, be one of those votes to say, let's right this wrong.
Okay, thank you very much for your comments. That being said, do you want to amend your motion, Nolan, to...
No, but it can fail. I'm not going to get a second. That's fine.
Okay. Do I have a second to Nolan's motion? Seeing none, I'm going to make the motion that we move this by simple motion and we agendize it for the first meeting in December 8th so we can vote on it. Can I get a second on that?
Second.
Thank you very much. Can we get a roll call vote, please?
Councilmember Mashburn?
Aye.
Councilmember Harris?
Yes.
Councilmember Sullivan?
Yes.
Vice Mayor Beatty?
Aye.
Mayor Rolette?
Absolutely. Thank you very much. Before we go to adjournment, I just want to, and I think I heard everyone loud. Yeah, I'm sorry. You want to read the ordinance? I apologize.
Thank you.
Go ahead. Could you please do that for me?
Sure. Ordinance amending Chapter 2.60, City Council Member District Elections, Mayor at Large Elections of the Vacaville Municipal Code to revise the election system to allow for transition of current at-large seats to by district upon filling an at-large vacancy.
Thank you. Again, I heard Councilmember Sullivan, Councilmember Harris. I spoke on it. And that's 3, but I would like to have everyone agree that we move to the December 8th to repeal the appointment process. And then at a later date, I don't want to get into it on December 8th, but at a later date with the new council, come up with a new process that everybody would be happy with. So I'd like to get that on the agenda for December 8th.
I'll support that.
Thank you very much.
Mr. Mayor, this is Mitch. I would support that as well.
Okay. And Beatty says yes. And we don't need to vote on that, correct, Melinda?
I think we understand the direction.
Got the direction. Perfect. Thank you, everyone. Again, I'm excited that we found this. I thank our staff for all their hard work. I thank the council for taking another night off for us. I do believe the Vacaville citizens deserve it. We heard what they said and we got it, and I'm excited. Thank you, everyone. Have a good evening. We'll see you next Tuesday. Adjourned.